All right, so this story is once again from r/no sleep,
Got the best
and
stories.
they really do. And the user is not underscore necessarily. I feel like a lot of the stories that I've read and that even the couple that we've went over are like older.
Hmm.
They've been around for a while. This story was from like 100 and something days ago.
Oh,
So it's
this is
not even a
very
year old.
recent.
So it's very recent story. I read through it 2 days ago yesterday, and I think that you're gonna like it. It's very weird, very fun. It's
Hmm.
called "There's Only Five of Us on this camping trip. We keep counting six."
Interesting.
All right. There were bright flashes of red in the sky. It's as if someone was waving around a flare at night from space, faint but noticeable. We all made UFO jokes and laughed as we nailed our tents into the ground. I knew for sure that there were five of us. We've all been friends since early middle school, and we're celebrating our high school graduation with this getaway camping trip. The flashes of red must have stopped randomly as we made conversation while fixing up our tents. Dave managed to put his together the fastest and told us he was going to have to find some branches for the fire. I remember how he had worked with me at the local gas station last year. We used to do the night shift together, and it made working at a desolate gas station much more fun than it was supposed to be. There was also Eric in the corner, reading his tent manual, fidgeting with his signature round glasses. I wasn't as close with Eric as I was with the others, but I remember sitting with him in math class and copying his homework one time. Ava was also there talking to Sally, my cousin. Both had decided to team up and work on one tent at a time. I also have clear memories of them hanging around at school in our usual places. In fact, I even knew Ava's younger brother as he used to beg to go wherever we wanted with us. I bring all this up because I'm sure that there were five of us, including me. I knew everyone in the group. So David went to get some branches as we pulled out some foldable chairs and set them up around the fire pit. I remember feeling uneasy as the sun sat and darkness began to consume the forest. The shadow of trees elongated around us as the minutes ticked by. Eric went to get a flashlight from his bag while we wandered around and wondered what was taking Dave so long. He appeared soon after, the harsh rustling sounds of the brushes signifying his return. We were all buried in our chairs at this point, covered by our jackets. The temperature had dropped quickly and a slight breeze was beginning to pick up. Geez, you guys weren't even bothered to pull a chair up for me, Dave said as he arranged all the branches in the pit. We had set up 5 chairs around the fire. I tried to rationalize the situation, but no matter how hard I focused, my head felt like it was underwater. I had perfect clarity up until that moment, but when I tried to focus on why 5 chairs were occupied, when Dave hadn't sat down yet, my head seemed to just stop working, as if I was reaching in and pulling out my thoughts. Instinctually, I felt even more uneasy now that I had placed why. The whole
Hmm.
forest had gone silent. I looked around at the faces of the others and could tell that they felt the same. Eric was fidgeting with his fingers, trying to scan around the group and spot the extra person, but it was futile. I scanned every face, each etched in worry and frowning in frustration, except for, "It's all right, I'll get my chair myself," Dave said, breaking the silence and somewhat alleviating the tension. I got up and offered to help him. He looked into my eyes and nodded knowingly. We headed away from the fire pit toward the tents, but I kept my eyes glued on our group. "How many people are there?" I whispered to Dave as he looked around and realized that we indeed only had packed 5 chairs. In fact, every person had brought with them their own chair. They were heavy to carry, and we wouldn't want to bring anything extra. "There's five, right? I mean, 5 chairs," Dave replied, his voice wavering as he spoke. "No, I just think maybe one of us forgot our chair." My mind was struggling to address the issue head on and now sought to find a rational excuse. I didn't quite feel control of my thoughts. It felt like swimming in a dream, and I tried to force myself to think about who the sixth was. My head would begin to throb. "Yeah, that sounds about right, actually," Dave said, relaxing and heading back to the group. When we walked to the fire pit and the circle of chairs, 2 chairs were empty, one for me and one for Dave. Everything was adding up now, even though we all agreed it wasn't before. Sally suggested that we were probably all tired after the long hike to get here and probably just needed some sleep. She could have been right. We were all sleep deprived from waking up early today to make it on time. Ava brought up the drinks. The whole 6 pack was emptied.
That's crazy. I,
I think
I This is crazy already.
Mm-hmm.
I I'm confused. I'm going through I'm trying to
I
like remember all the names and go through it. I'm like, I don't understand.
This story is confusing, but there's like a reason why it's confusing, I think, that like you'll get more as we get into it. Like my first read through of it, I was like, I can't really like I don't know what's going on in the scene. I can't like place exactly what's happening. Like something's off here with what's
Yeah.
going on. And it just felt like it was poor writing at first, but I don't think it is.
Yeah. I
So
was gonna say
just
because at the
hold
beginning
through.
it says I'm trying to make a mental note right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's the narrator, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
There is Eric, Ava, and Sally. So that's the five. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the five that we know. Okay.
Yes.
You may continue.
I also think it's hilarious that whole six pack was emptied. Like they're just
Just pounding it.
bodying one six pack for everybody.
Yeah, they brought six packs and they're all gone.
I was no, they bought one six pack and they're
Yeah,
all sharing it.
no.
I was viewing like one of my friends like student films at a theater recently,
hmm
and they had like other kids films up too.
hmm
And when one of them, just like the kid probably like just wasn't like familiar with drinking or something. And one of the lines in his story was like, I never wanted to be like my dad, but one day I was just broken and I went and bought a whole six pack of vodka and drank it in one night. It was like
That's crazy. Not a six
that.
pack of vodka.
I don't
That's
think anyone's
good.
ever drank a six pack of vodka, but okay. Let's get back to there's only five of us. So start back from where we were. The whole six pack was indeed emptied. We all moved closer to the crackling fire for warmth as we took sips of our cans and reminisced on memories of last year. Ava was in the middle of telling us about the one time she was home alone with weird things happening in her house, and I got these sudden chills despite the pleasant warmth of the fire. What felt cozy and safe moments ago felt wrong now, all because I realized that there was a crucial detail that I missed. Who started the fire? I asked, completely interrupting Ava in the middle of her story and breaking everyone's immersion. Everyone looked momentarily annoyed until they realized they had no answer. Once again, I scanned the faces staring back at me, all barely illuminated by the light from the fire, all familiar and pale from the fear. Wasn't it you, Dave? Eric asked. Dave shook his head. I think the person standing behind Jenny did it, Sally said, looking over at me. I whipped my head around so quickly it hurt. My heart was pounding in my ears. There was nothing behind me except for the encompassing darkness of the woods. Staring at those tall, dark trees behind me made me feel exposed. I felt like a lost bird in a vast field.
That's crazy. I didn't understand that the narrator's name was Jenny, and I was like, "Who the fuck
Mm-hmm.
is Jenny? We caught him. Get him."
Oh, we found it. It's Jenny. She's not supposed to be. She's the
We could
sixth.
stop the story. We figured it out.
It's over. It was Jenny the whole time. Yeah, this is probably just like some like bullshit society, some like overarching theme of fuckery, but I just did assume that the main character is a dude. So the first time I read it, I was like, oh,
You're like, what?
who the fuck's Jenny? And then I put it together.
Yeah, you're like,
Just
oh, all right.
fucking society, dude. All
Sick
right.
fucks.
See, there's a few parts in the story where it's a little confusing,
Yeah,
but
I think I'm still following.
it'll all come together. I could just be stupid, but all right. I felt like a lost bird in a vast field. Wait, I mean, I don't know, Sally said, her eyes gone wide as she was shaking visibly. She continued to look around frantically as Ava moved over to her, placing her hands on her shoulders and trying to calm her down. I think we should leave this place, Ava stuttered. Yeah, something just doesn't feel right, but I can't put my finger on it, Dave said. But it's so dark in the forest now. We'd probably get lost if we left, someone else said. Yeah, I think we should stay the night and leave as soon as we can tomorrow. Eric agreed. I tried to protest, but realized Eric was right. The woods harbored an oppressive darkness where navigation would be nearly impossible. Let's not sleep in separate tents, just to be safe, Sally said. We all agreed. We only brought one person tents with us, but we could squeeze two if we really tried. That way no one could be alone at night. Following this conversation, we all got up and made our pairs. I went with Dave and Sally went, like always, with Ava. Eric kept complaining that he didn't have a pair, but we reassured him he did. He wouldn't accept it. I felt like at some point we all realized that there were only 5 of us, and suddenly we're all huddling up in the middle of the clearing. Why do we keep thinking that there's 6 of us? Eric asked. Sweat was dripping down his face despite the cold. We nearly left him all alone, under the assumption that there was another person. My stomach turned as I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to mentally recap everyone here. My head throbbed, but I kept pushing it. There's me, Dave, Eric, Ava, Sally, and I was pointing at each of them as I said their names. I retched and emptied the contents of my stomach on the ground when I got past Sally. The left side of my head felt like there was a knife stuck in it. My vision was blurry. Dave helped me up to stop me from collapsing, and we all wordlessly started to move toward the tents as someone had put out the fire. Dave helped me into the tent while the 4 outside discussed what to do.
Wait, hang on.
Dave helped me into the tent while the 4 outside discussed what to do.
Whoa. I'm so confused. This is so I get it, but it's
confusing.
Like it's confusing. It's not that I'm misunderstanding. It's just yeah.
Yeah, you feel like you're misunderstanding. I feel like the way that they're doing it is everyone's under this like haze guise that like there's supposed to be 6 of them.
Yeah, and it's got
it's weird.
Something to do with the like UFOs from the beginning, right? Because they were like there were red flashes in the sky. There were UFOs. There's got to be something to do with that.
I just feel like they're like operating this weird, like not typical like space where they keep like forgetting and then like they have like these moments of realization. But whoever is with them somehow like is able to easily blend in, because I think it's weird how she just goes like pointing to the right of Sally, there was a person, and then he's like throws up and then they all run away. Like that's not usually how you would handle that.
That's not how you handle that? Oh, jeez.
Well, I might throw up and run away, but like something else would happen. It wouldn't, I'd be like, everybody, who the fuck is that? Or like we'd attack them or I don't know. It's just like they're operating in a weird way, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's written really good though. Like the idea itself is, I feel like, very hard to convey, but I feel like it's doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I did lose the spot though.
They all started to move toward the tent, so someone put the fire out.
Mm-hmm.
Dave helped me into the tent while the 4 outside discussed what to do. I could only focus on snippets of the conversation as the excruciating pain beating against the side of my skull went and came in waves. Sally had the brilliant idea of arranging 3 tents together so the openings faced each other at night. Angles in sort of a U shape so we could sleep as close as possible and also limit the entrance to our tents. Dave was about to go help as they worked outside, but I clutched his hand and asked him to stay with me. The tents took some time to arrange. I started to feel a bit better once everybody got into their tents. A quick head count confirmed that there were 5 of us. Eric would sleep in his tent alone, but he was more comfortable with it now since all the tents were very close. Looking back, I think he was just trying to put a brave face on for us. I regret that moment deeply, letting him sleep in the tent alone. He was always less integrated in our group and knew that none of us would pair with him. Just before going to bed, we all agreed to leave as soon as the sun rose in the morning. I remember taking one last look outside into the forest before trying to fall asleep. The wind had picked up and tree branches were swaying gently. Beyond our clearing was just pure darkness. It felt like the trees were closing in on me. With a faint moonlight illuminating our clearing, I turned my head over at the 2 tents that we had left and saw someone standing next to them. Despite the circumstances, sleep came quickly and easily. Which is, like, absurd.
Wait, well, hang on. Yeah. You're telling me it goes from I turned my head to look over at the 2 tents we had left out and saw someone standing next to them. The next sentence is, yeah, I slept pretty good. Excuse me. What the fuck was what?
Yeah, it's so strange. That's why I'm like thinking that they're just under this like weird,
like a spell of the woods type thing.
Yeah,
like Blair Witch shit.
Like, yeah, where they just can't, like, they're just not acting rational.
Yeah, because it's got to be
there's someone
like
standing.
Because like even like they're like, I threw up, and the 4 of them stayed out there while me and Dave were in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be like
Like,
something's fogging their mind.
yeah, like she's recognizing that there's 4 people out there,
Uh-huh.
even though that's the whole thing she's afraid of. It's
Ooh, I
weird.
wonder if it's like saying that there's 6 now, but then as soon as they leave, they'll like they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know there's obviously 5, but it gets but like someone gets like replaced, like if Dave gets
Ugh,
replaced by the thing from the woods, but they don't realize it because they're like, "Oh, well there was 5 of us."
horrifying. I already know what happens, so I'm not gonna make any comments.
Okay.
All right. Despite this horrifying circumstances, the man standing next to my tent, I fell asleep pretty easy. Ava's shrill scream woke me up in the middle of the night. Dave and I ripped our tent door open to find Sally and Ava looking into Eric's tent. We pushed them aside. Eric's sleeping bag was rolled up. He was still inside it, his head in the center, face contorted in utter agony. The rest of his body rolled around it with the blue fabric now dripping with dark blood.
Well,
Dave zipped up the door of the tent. Ava was in shock. Her eyes became glassy and unfocused. Sally was shaking her repeatedly, tears streaming down her face. Dave picked up his torch and yelled at us to get up and run. We left the campsite behind and entered the trail we came from. The 5 of us huddled together, Dave leading the front as he cast his weak flashlight over the path so we could all see. All we had to help us through this 2 hour trail was a small circle of light. Even the moon failed to illuminate our surroundings through the dense foliage. Ava tripped and fell, twisting her ankle. We came to a stop. Someone said they knew how to splint it so we could keep going. They dragged her into the woods instead. It happened too quickly for any of us to process. Sally was about to run after Ava when Dave held her back. She struggled and managed to free herself running into the trees to follow the echoes of Ava's screams. I was about to run after her, but Dave held me by my shoulders and shook me hard. We need to get out of here, Jenny. Please, he said. I hesitated but jolted into motion again when Sally's voice was cut off abruptly. She had been calling out Ava's name as she ran after her. Dave and I continued to run down the trail, trying to get to our cars so we could get out of here. There was nothing we could do. At some point, there were 3 of us running on the trail. Dave and I shoulder to shoulder with someone following us closely behind. Dave, who's behind us? I gasped. My heart was threatening to burst through my ribcage and my legs burned. He turned to look at me, confusion transformed into fear on his face, and then into rage. You keep running, he told me as he produced a pocket knife from his pants. He
Oh yeah,
handed me
good
the
plan.
car key. Yeah, that'll do. It's Swiss
Yeah,
Army
all
knife.
right.
He handed me the car keys, which I nearly dropped. Then he turned around suddenly and jumped at whoever was behind us. I continued to run in fear as the sound of struggle grew behind me. I tripped and tumbled through the trail for what felt like hours. I didn't allow myself to stop. I almost cried when the trail ended and I walked out to the familiar car park, not wasting 1 second. I ran to the car and started up, accelerating out of the forest onto the highway within mere seconds. I'm typing this post out by a rest stop. My phone has finally regained service and I've called 911 to try to explain the situation. I don't think they believe my version of events, but they sent a car my way regardless. As I wait, the sun is finally starting to rise. After I hit the post button on this, I'm going to check why the person in my back seat has been silent this whole time.
That's crazy.
And that is the end.
Ima- Imagine you just watched your entire friend group get brutally injured, murdered, maimed, even. And you're like,
Maimed
I'm gonna
even.
post about this on Reddit. You're like,
Yeah.
this is good. This is good content.
You
This is gonna
you
give
have
me a lot
to
of outvotes.
dispel some belief there,
My
I
karma's gonna be
think.
through the roof.
I'm going viral.
Oh, that I
That
like that though. That's good.
that's always something I've struggled with stories. It's like, why are you talking about
Yeah,
this?
what are we doing about this? Yeah, that part you gotta just suspend your belief. I
And it
do.
had that classic ending of like, why is this person in my car? It's horrifying.
Yeah, that's good. It gives me the vibes of like the story that like the old urban legend story thing where it's like the person in the car was like ramming into the back of them and they're like, oh, and then they finally get a
Oh,
hold of them and they're
stop.
like, there's someone in the back seat.
I hate that fucking
Dude, I
story.
unironically check my back seat every single time I get in my car.
Me too. Sometimes I'll like have to slow down on the throughway because I'm scared
Because
there's someone in my backseat. I'll
same.
have to take a peek. It's horrible.
Yeah. Every now and then if I'm feeling really scared, I'll check my trunk. Yeah, but I think so where is it? It says Ava tripped and fell, twisting her ankle when they're running away. We came to a stop Someone said they knew how to splint it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like a she couldn't remember who did it because they was going so fast?
I think
Or was that
like
the someone?
I think it was the someone. I
That's
feel like this
crazy.
person like somehow was just naturally blending
Wait,
in with this friend group. So that person
yeah,
was just acting like a friend. It was like, oh, I can help her. You guys keep going, basically, or
yeah,
like.
because it said someone
And
said
then
they
he
knew how to
dragged her into the
splint, yeah, and then
woods, and then
drags her
she
into
was
the
fucking gone.
woods.
And then at that point, they realized what was happening,
Hmm,
which is
that's
horrifying.
crazy. Yeah,
I do wish that I almost wish that the story was longer because it is difficult to like. I can't figure out what this person is. Like, what is
yeah.
this thing?
I think it's got to be something like a long. I don't know. It's got to like it feels like it's something that was like trapped and it like needed a way out. Like it had to go with someone or something like that, which is why Jenny made it out alive.
Mm-hmm. It's in her
And
backseat.
and it's in the back seat, like it's trying to leave with her. Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be something that like was trapped in these woods for some reason, and whatever had occurred, whether it was a blight or the bright flashes in the sky, or like just the fact that they were there,
Yeah, I want to
it
go
was
back
like
and
it
read
gave
the
an
first
opportunity.
part about the
Yeah, because it's strange that
bright
it
flashes
starts
of
out
red in the sky,
with that. Yeah, we all made
faint but
UFO
noticeable.
jokes.
So it could just be an alien, and with aliens, you can't like really know what exactly their capabilities are. So it's just this like vague, horrifying
It
story.
could be because it says the flashes of red must have stopped randomly as we made conversation, which is around when it happened. So yeah, it could be like an alien,
Hmm.
like impersonating someone kind of thing.
I wanted to look at some of the comments to see if anybody had any theories.
Yeah.
I think someone broke it down here. They said all the times there is a sixth person there. Five chairs occupied by, so this is just all the situations where
Hmm.
there were six people. The five chairs occupied and Dave is not sitting down. Everybody grabbed a drink from the six pack, but it was empty. So it should only been five.
Hmm.
Talking about the person behind Jenny. Several mentions of someone saying or doing something when everybody else is accounted for. Them thinking that there can be two people in a tent without being left out. Four people outside while Jenny and David are inside. After Eric is killed, they said the five of us huddled together. Someone was in Jenny's backseat.
Hmm.
And the forest is dark now. We'd probably get lost if we would have. Someone else said, don't forget this one. Extra someone. Oh, so, oh, that's horrifying. When they were saying, it seems like they always just refer to, everybody's referred to as their name, and this guy's just somebody. Whoever this
Just
is
someone. Yeah, it's like
somebody.
they say it like they don't know who it is.
Mm-hmm. Which is horrifying because at one point they
Yeah.
said, but it's so dark out in the forest now, we'd probably get lost if we left now. Someone else said. So
Yeah, that's
they were
crazy.
the
So
ones trying to keep them there.
yeah, why were they trying to keep them there?
Clearly to fucking murder them in their
Okay, I get it.
lives because they did a pretty good job. I don't think
Yeah, but the thing is, like, why didn't they do that with Jenny? Jenny's sitting in the car writing an essay.
he wanted to get clout before he died.
Yeah. It's like, oh, come to this woods, try to find Jenny, see what happens.
Someone has a comment that just says everybody was a shapeshifter.
I
I don't think that.
don't think
I
everybody was
want
a shapeshifter.
I can't think of a like an actual good theory, and I can't really find anybody
Yeah,
else's. Like
I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
Because, yeah, it's got to be something from, I'm imagining it's something from the lights in the sky, which honestly, like, I don't know.
Why can't they figure out what it is? Or
Yeah.
why can't we figure out what it is?
Yeah, bright flashes of red and sky. It almost gives me like the vibe of like, like in like color out of space, like an HP Lovecraft kind of like
Mm-hmm.
a monster of another world.
There's just nothing you can do about it,
Yeah.
because you don't even like know it's there
Yeah, you
until you notice,
think
and when you
it's just
notice,
one of your homies.
it's too late. I
That's
guess it's
crazy,
dark
man.
out. I think it's a pretty good story.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
It is
like it.
confusing though. It is a
It's
little
confusing,
confusing.
but I like the concept and the idea, and I think this is probably the best way you would be able to do it. Like I feel like any other way, it's gonna
Hmm.
like
You couldn't do this as a movie probably, because it'd just be like a
yeah, because you would
dude
just always be
standing
able to
behind.
tell
Hmm.
yeah who or what it is. It's something that just goes solely off of your imagination, and if you're able to catch the cues, it does
It'd be
make me
so
want to go read
obvious.
through it again to like look for whenever it actually says someone and try to
Hmm.
see like what they were actually doing the whole time.
Yes, a lot of people are talking about there's this other really famous story where it's like six people at a party.